You want something that don't have chili.
Oh, you know what you should try?
What's that?
Little Dr. Pepper.
And I can give it also, is that the chili is the thing I would like, and they have it into the drinks are $1.05.
Yeah.
Cheese, so it's just pretty good.
What are you talking about? So just.
My patronage of the Golden Arches.
And I used to like their hamburgers. I said people had hamburger there.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No, their hamburgers are not as good anymore, nor are their fries.
I'm their fish. They're fish. And take
Oh,
out
like
the tartar
fish.
sauce.
When the fries are done right, man, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like the skinny fries at the place better than the fries. I don't love the waffle fries at Chick-fil-A. I don't dislike them. I don't love them.
Those got really good fries. Zaxby's.
Oh, do they really?
Crinkle fries.
My steak fries are my favorite ones.
Oh, yeah.
I love steak fries.
Yeah.
But-
Where can you get those?
But my favorite fries will typically come in that bag from Five Guys.
With the seasoning or without?
Five Guys. Oh, they're burgers, fries.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to
Expensive,
challenge
but
you.
nice.
Cheeseburger Bobbies. Anybody go to Cheeseburger Bobbies? KSL?
Eh.
Oh. I'm telling you right now, folks, I'm giving you religious experience. You go to cheese. First of all, I'm not a huge cheeseburger guy, but they have a great chicken sandwich with cheese. And their fries are great. And you know what they do when you sit in there? They come by and they go, "Would you like some more fries?"
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Would you like some fries? Would you like a mint? If they go past you, would you like a little mint?
And what is this place called?
Cheeseburger. I'm telling you right now, write it down.
It's called COVID friendly.
It's called Cheeseburger Bobbies. It's on Barrett Parkway.
Pass that cheeseburger Bobbies.
You will have a religious experience there.
I made because I like, and my twins love Five Guys.
Yeah.
So if we don't go there, guys, Pop, let's go to Five Guys.
Every bag I've ever seen coming out of Five Guys is dripping with grease.
Well, that's what they throw the
I
extra
doubt they
fries
drip
in
any
there.
less if they're good fries.
Well, I don't take them out. That's true.
I doubt they do that.
I'm promising you a good experience at Cheeseburger
And the
Bobbies.
peanuts are nice too.
And the what?
The peanuts and Five Guys.
Oh, they do peanuts?
Yeah.
Mm,
And peanuts at Five Guys, yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, peanuts while you're waiting on your food to cook.
But why won't they only serve it well done? I'm like, just take it off a little early. Oh, we can't do that.
What'd you say?
Five Guys, it only can come out well done.
Oh, really?
Oh, but pretty juicy though.
That it is.
You eat cheeseburgers, Kimberly?
I like.
Cheeseburger Bobbies.
grilled.
You like homemade grilled ones?
I like Moxie burger.
I like that too, yeah.
Sometimes. They have good sweet potato fries.
Yes, they do.
There's a little music getting us going here. Oh, I like it.
Stockyard has the best for contacts.
They're not bad, but they're a little more expensive. Got some highfalutin living over there, this kid.
I think someone else had some issues with command in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, they're doing an update.
Ah, okay. Because I keep trying to get into my contacts and they haven't challenged. No food.
All right, so I'll say this to the other crowd. Do we have any 80s fans here?
Yeah.
80s music fans?
Of course.
April 14th, Rockin' Taco, my band,
What band?
makes my band.
It's called My Band.
It's called the Walkman.
It's very
The
fancy.
Walkman. Oh.
We're making our debut, 8 o'clock. At Roswell, Kansas Street. Come out, please.
Guitar player?
Bass.
Oh, that's really not. Why do you need a massage chair?
What do you
How are you? I'm good. Good to see you. I will be sending an email out, but
Look at you, multitasking.
Always.
I love it.
Same thing. 20 years.
who do you play with?
You got it.
Small century.
How are you?
You did a great job of that.
Oh, thank you.
Great job.
That was fun.
Wow.
You guys, stop doing that. That's not work.
Oh, yes, yeah, I know the guitar player in that band.
Oh, you do?
Yes, yes,
Why am I having a brain fart?
Yeah,
Is it
because
Betty
it's,
Brown, not Brown.
no,
Betty.
Aunt Betty.
Aunt Betty, yeah.
Yeah, no, Uncle Betty, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, the guitar player is, actually actually worked with him for a period of time.
I mean, you'd be having to do several weeks. You've been busy.
Yes, we don't wear wigs.
No, Tony doesn't. He has his hair. Is the real deal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, come out. I would bring them.
Yeah. You have to, what date is that again?
April 14th. I'm looking at everybody in this room, so I'll know who didn't show up. You guys should be out of town. I've heard that before.
Can you offer CE credit for that?
Stay for 3 hours and I'll figure out a way. I just did some photos last night. Oh, I've been playing baseball. Yeah. Yeah.
And now he's a completely different business. But he needs to pick up the guitar. He's really
Bob Wallace.
Bob Wallace. I don't know.
Bob's the
I
guitar
only
player.
know Tony. Bob Wallace does sound familiar. And we went and saw them. They were actually.
You want us all to dial in online too? So it looks like there's more people.
Sure.
After we went down.
Oh, okay.
Surprised that we didn't know we were gonna be there, 'cause I live pretty close to there.
Okay.
You were very thorough in that.
I was,
He was great, and it was so much fun just to get back in with all that 70s and 80s music.
Welcome.
Great.
You're perfect on time. Grab some lunch in the break room. We'll get you some lunch.
Oh, there's lunch.
There's lunch, oh yeah.
I did not realize that. So that's a bonus.
Uh-huh.
See, I didn't come to the lunch. I didn't even know that. I mean, I know you.
Yes, he plays guitar. This been about 6 months.
Well, I'll come to another one.
Okay, well, we may have one April 1. I'll let you know about that. I'm not sure yet.
How many do we have online right now? Careful.
Oh, you got a good crowd online. Angela, Patty, Liz, Lisa.
Oh, gosh.
And I consider Black Heaven like.
Consistency.
Consistency.
I wrote it down. Third one was implement, and there's something in between there. What is yours? Yeah, it does.
How are your kitties, lady?
They're doing well. We're playing sports again. I should be happy, but you know.
My twins invited me to
Okay, right.
invited me to come to his band concert.
Oh, fun.
I saw Tony and
So anyway, I said, okay,
Mitzi
I'm
got
flying in on
Wow,
Tuesday morning.
Uh-huh.
So I have to take the 9 o'clock flight, if I take the 5 o'clock one, I may not get there.
Wow.
Right.
That's
I'll be
great.
there all day at Greg Stone's office and working out of that office. And I'm here the next morning at 4:30 to fly back at 6.
Oh, okay.
Then they
Okay.
called,
Okay.
they said, Greg called, said, hey,
Wow,
how
that's
about
great.
coming in
Hey,
the
Greg,
Friday
doing all right?
and attending their track meet on Saturday? And I talked to Gail, Gail dating. She said, I'll tell you what, we'll do on Saturday. It'll go from 9 to 5. And I'll have one at probably 9:30 the next one. at 4:30.
Right.
We'll sit early on.
Right.
So I declined to do that.
Thank you for the invite. I'm honored to be invited, but keep it like what I can do.
I trained them last year that if they ask Papa to come,
Right.
and so they're so used to it now, it's like, oh, Papa will come. And I'm not doing that.
Right.
And they have lots of families, lots of families.
Yeah, I just love this energy.
Good. That's supposed to be. to see what's playing. Do that.
10 lowercase a. Put the big A. A.
Try my best to, it's like that for this winter tonight.
Oh, okay.
No, I.
So, and I was
Next time.
So I
They
was
want me to come.
waiting to make that switch. I sold my
All right,
contact.
well, let's go ahead and get started, and why would we here in 8 minutes? So, somebody give me an update online, wherever, how you see the market right now. Are we in our spring market, and what do you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Who wants to start? Gary, tell me what you're seeing out there.
Well, you all right? Okay, just checking it out. We're definitely in the spring market, that's for sure.
Cool.
You know, my experience is I'm sensing actually a little bit, depending on what price point, a little softness. Meaning, I've
Where?
actually been able to get some closing
In
costs.
Douglasville?
Where?
Let me finish it, let me finish it.
Okay. Got some here in East Cobb. So I see some, I think a lot of houses have been overpriced. And once you see them sit past that 7 to 10 day,
Yeah.
you know, so there's some softness, you know, the good ones that are priced right, of course, like, let's say my listings. Seriously though, you know where to price it, you know where to price it, and you price it right at that number or a hair below it. Every one of my listings has gone over asking price because the market will drive it. But if you overshoot, the market knows it. And so I've gotten, I have a 30-day lease back on one of my listings. I got sessions on some other buyer stuff. So I'm just sensing it. It's happening in select places.
Okay.
Okay, and people are, you know, starting to realize that maybe they just can't ask for the world. But again, if you have a good listing and you priced right, I think you can still run the table.
Right, so you're, in what price point are you getting, are you getting some,
This would be in the up to about 600.
okay?
Okay, up to about 400 to 600. If you're below 300, you just give them whatever organ they want, you know,
Okay.
because you can't get anything, especially that's decent. The other thing I'll say is I was doing some comps and looking at some things. I would say about 40 to 50% of the active inventory is Zillow and Open Door, and I would almost discount them as if they weren't on the market because most of these have been sitting for over 30 days. So when you tell people there's, you know, 30 homes for sale, but 15 of them are not going to ever sell the way that they're being listed and marketed,
Okay.
that changes the dynamics of the market. So you can't just look at your numbers. You got to see what they are.
I love the discussion about the Zillow stuff out there that is sitting right now. That's not doing the work. That's an interesting discussion. And I hadn't thought about that because right now I looked out of 5,000 listings for the first time. Zillow's got, it was Zillow. Pick another one.
Offerpad.
Open Door.
Open door.
Open Door. They have about 17% of the market right now, which is the highest I ever remember it being. But the reason they have that 17% right now is because they're doing
Because they're
what?
not selling.
They're
They're
not
not selling.
selling.
They're not selling. Which is an interesting thought to me, because Zillow thought for the longest time, and Open Door, I'm talking about generically, they thought, well, we can put anything it'll sell. And now I'm hearing maybe that's not true.
It's not true.
Huh?
They look like lipstick on a pig.
Right, looks on a pig. So that is a sign to pay attention to because unfortunately, when the market adjusts, typically adjusts how quickly. Like that. So guys, I'm gonna introduce you to Robbie. I will tell you that when these things start happening, you pay attention to them quickly because we're 13th year of a typical 5-year uptick.
Yeah.
At some point, we had to pay the piper. And of course, I've never seen one where there's too few listings, and so that makes it a little bit interesting. But I also know that at some point, you're gonna go, okay, so I gotta pay too much for the house. I gotta pay too much to have it redone. I've gotta pay too much for the material to have it redone, and I have to wait 6 months to have it redone.
And the rates have gone up twice while I've been doing it.
Exactly right, yeah. And so everything continues to go up. Now, I'm a little bit encouraged that gasoline prices past couple days have done what? Gone down a little bit, stabilized a little bit, and the price for a barrel was $130, now down below 100 again. So with that, I'm hoping that is going to take effect, because how much of the oil, and then we'll move on, that we get comes from Russia? What percentage would you say? We bring in?
3 to 4.
3 to 4%?
I heard it was 10%.
It's not quite that high unless it's changed. I mean, I heard 6%. It used to be exactly right. My sources, who I listened to that particular day, so guys, so I keep asking, if, let's say it is 10%, okay? So if it's 10%, why is that we're not getting 10% of it, making the prices go up that much? Just an interesting thought process. Yes, sir.
There was a great article, and I'll try to find it. I think it might have even posted on my website, I'm not sure, but about why prices go the way they're going with, even though we're not dependent on that oil. But China and Europe are, and oil is an integrated market. So the price of oil is the price of oil globally. It has nothing to do with where we are, right? So when you cut that supply, you're going to see.
Whatever we won't buy, China will.
Yes, but I mean, but they, if we cut and the rest of Western Europe cuts and turns that off, right? And so that oil comes out of the inventory of the market. It's like housing market, right? If we said we weren't going to sell somebody's listings, all of a sudden you have less listings, the demand still is there. So that's why our.
They should see
I'll
if
see
the
if I can find
price
it.
going to go down. Ryan, come on up here, buddy.
Me?
Come on, Ryan. Let's welcome Ryan. So wave to them, wave to run up here. And just say,
Whoa, hey, good morning. How are you?
So anyway, guys, I'm going to introduce you to my new best friend, Ryan Butler. Ryan, tell us about your journey getting into real estate. And you can sit or stand, whatever suits you the best.
Yeah, I like to do a little bit of both.
Good.
Okay. And you guys can't see. Can you see it from here if I sit?
Yeah.
We can move for you too.
Yeah.
We can do whatever we need to do. Wearing my new favorite shirt. You see this?
Don't play for.
Don't play for pennies. Okay,
What's it say?
and be wealthy.
Ah, there you go.
Okay.
Look at that. And then can you guys see this, or should we dim the
I'll
lights?
do
on
watch
that?
it.
Well, my name is Brian Butler. I'm based out of Washington, D.C. I'm a managing partner of Coalition Properties Group. And we're a team, fellow Williams team, right out in DC metro area. And so my story began in 2016 when I joined Keller Williams. That's all I really know. People always say, how many brokers? All I know is KW. That's all I know. But it's been good to me. It's kind of like, marrying your high school sweetheart. You just, it's just been good to me the whole time, right? And so I went from being in my rookie of the year for the region, in the DC metro region, became a mega agent the year after that. And then the year after that, I started Coalition Properties with two other partners, Harrison Beecher and Keith James. You guys might have seen their names float around this KW ecosystem a little bit, but Harrison is the local NAR president in our region. And Keith sold 120 homes last year. So pretty good realtor, right? But I'll tell you a little bit about me. And today we're focused on how to build wealth for agents. You guys are busy, right? You're out there selling homes. It's a tough market, probably. You guys it's interesting actually hearing you talk about OfferPad and Zillow listing homes, because they have very nominal listings in my market. But it's good to see what other markets are doing out there, how they're interacting. Which way is this? Is this up or down? Okay. So my question for you is, why are you here today? Outside of Jim making you show up for productivity.
and the good news is we're towards the end of the week, having this all week long. So we've had packed classes all week long. So the later you come, Ryan, But whoever Chris to be here is here, so I love it.
And what has led you to start thinking about investing in real estate? So I want to hear from you guys, like, what is it about investing in real estate you think is important?
Residual income. You know, those commission checks are awesome, but it'd be nice if I just made money by waking up.
Yeah, I totally get that. Anybody else?
It's just building a portfolio and wealth to leave for my family.
Generational wealth, legacy, wealth, legacies of wealth, right? That's pretty consistent theme across, right?
What made you think about getting into real estate investing?
What made you think about getting into real estate investing? Is this recorded? Oh,
Yes.
okay, I can't tell you the whole story.
Kim, is it recorded?
I'll give you the PG version. Basically,
Oh, yes, so it's okay.
I had a cousin, and he was super smart. Even recently, he's about to sell his trucking company for like $10 million or something like that. And during the boom, he was flipping 10 homes a month. So, you know, some people were flipping like, they're like, man, I'm flipping a home. It's like, no, I got 10 more, right? I thought that was super cool at the time. And I was like, man, you know, I'm like 7, 8 years old, whatever, like 10 years old back then. I'm like, man, I want to be like this. So that's kind of like put the spark in me. And then just doing the math, you know, you start hearing all these things you're growing. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was like 14 or something like that. So I read all these books when I was like a kid, and I was like, all right, real estate. Like everything kept pointing to real estate. And I didn't understand this magical stock market thing over here, because it's like magical sometimes. You're like, how did it go up today? It's like nobody knows, right? Just kind of went, right? But like real estate, I could see it, I could feel it, I could understand it, even as a kid. So no problem. Why am I here today? I'm a little short, so let me put this down. There we go. To share some of my thoughts on money, life, and investing in real estate, to save you guys from some of the mistakes that I made, and help you make a lot of money so you can live a big life. That's fair, right? That's fair trade. Fair trade. Fair trade. So I'll tell you a little bit about me and my company, a little bit about me. I just put our missions on there: to be the bridge to our community for all things real estate, lifestyle, and wealth building. You gotta have a big why, no matter what business you're doing. And remember, the purpose of business is to fund the perfect life, right? So keyword in there to me is fun. You need to fund your life through your business. My personal mission is to be the most impactful person I can be while I'm here. I don't know how long I got on this earth, but while I'm here, I want to be extremely impactful. And I think the two most impactful things you can do in life is to inspire people and provide opportunities. Evidence of success. Just give you a little bit of background about me, where we are today. So last year we sold 322 units for 4.4 million, somewhere around there. Top 100 KW team, I think we ended up at like 68 or 67, somewhere around there. And then I bought over 100 units last year. That was broken down into a 68 unit, a 15 unit, a 22 unit. Wow. Yeah.
And not all in DC, right, Ryan?
Oh no, that's actually my first 68 units in Georgia. It's an investor. My 15 units in Virginia, my 22 units in Maryland.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Because I've been really interested in real estate and investing for a long time. I mean, you know, of course, you know, you work like Scott McGilvery, I follow him, and power companies and different, you know, TV personalities, but and I've read their stories of how they, you know, come up with the money.
Mhm.
And so, you know, it's something that, you know, part of why I, you know, wanted to get into real estate is also to get onto the investment side. But how did you get the money to be able to buy all of these properties?
Well, lucky for you, I'm gonna cover
It's
that
in
right. So today I'm focused on this. So Kanye West has a quote, the great poet Kanye West, as I call him. Life is dope, but it's dope. All right.
You can
But it wasn't always. I was talking to Jim last night, right?
Yeah.
Jim, what did I do last night that hurt me? You remember? I told you how I lost a little bit of change.
Oh, yes, I do remember that. Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I lost 100 grand when I was about 25, right? Of other people's money. Yeah. So I spent a long time paying those other people back. And that was like my grandma and my parents and my aunts and uncles, the family. People that believed in me, right? And I convinced them to give me a shot, to give me an opportunity, help them give an opportunity as well, right? I paid them all back with interest. But it took some time and it hurt and it was a struggle and it sucked, right? But here's why you should listen to me. As I said, I did a few things. I was poor, broke at the same time. You ever heard of that one? That sucks, right? I had a bunch of student loans because I went to one of those fancy schools and they make you take out loans. I couldn't pay them all myself. So there you go. Credit card debt, late. I bought one home. I bought 4 homes in 18 months. And then it all crashed for me. Not during the crash, it just crashed for me. And I couldn't buy a home for 7 years because I had to pay people back and work and all kinds of stuff. Right? Like, man, talk about a real estate guy not being able to buy a home for 7 years. But I showed that to say, like, man, you can go from not doing nothing to doing something pretty quickly. Right? You can read the rest of it there, but bought my $300 wedding ring. I always get the on that one, right? That's when all the women's eyes go to that one, like, oh my God, you still married to? Yeah. Fortunately enough. And so now I got me and my little baby and my wife. Life's a lot better. And those are my 2 partners. So I had a lot of great support, family, friends, colleagues, mentors. And Gary Keller says you can be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. I truly believe that because I started basically a little bit over 5 years ago. And for me, the first 5 years was focusing on my sales business. And then right quickly, because I was able to take the experience of my sales business, experience of building and all the relationships I built and really transfer it over to investments once I actually started putting energy and focus around it, right? What you focus on expands. So once I started focusing on the investment side of things, it expanded. And then the last one, we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 5. Everybody wants to do it now. That's great. But I would say you got to have both. You got to be both patient and impatient, right? You have to do both. You have to practice both on the daily. You have to constantly push on the leading indicators, if we use AW speak, and be patient on the lagging indicators, right? Because as long as you're doing the right things every day, good things are going to happen.
Spend a little more time on that, on the lagging indicator. And so explain to us what you mean by that.
Yeah, so leading indicators, if you take the sales business, we speak, sales speak, right? That's your lead gen. That's your calling your clients when you have them active clients. You got to get them under contract. That's all the money making activities that you do in the front, not actually the making of the money. The making of money happens, get it under contract and get it close to the table. You got to check. That happened 30, 60, 90 days later, right? Well, in investments, I mean, for me, it happened 7 years later, right? Because I had to build that up again and really redeploy that. And then I saw that kind of snowball a little bit. That makes sense?
Yeah, and the lagging indicators.
Yeah, the lagging indicators. So you guys ever did a 4 conversations?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same concept. 4 conversations in the front. Who are you talking to? Appointments, right? Who are you talking to every day? Right? It's like, who are you talking to? If you're recruiting and you're not talking to people about coming on your team, you're not doing the right activities, right? If you're looking for sellers and you're not talking to sellers, you're trying to talk to sellers, and you're not doing the right activities, right? So those are leading indicators, and the lagging indicators are going to be how many of those you're able to convert to signed contracts, right? That's whether it's investment or not. Like how many offers I put out, and how many sellers that I'm trying to get to sign them. How many of them sign it, right? And then after that, how much money do I make once I get the deal to the table? You guys follow me so far? Make sense? Awesome. Pro tips. I would say check Kanye again. I guess I just like this guy, right? He's just funny to me in a lot of he's a complex character, interested in me in a lot of different ways. But check your ego, right? This is not about, and I say this when I say these things, I'm talking to me and to you, right? So I'm talking to us, right? What I mean by that is don't worry about what someone else is doing, right? You gotta have your own journey. You gotta have your own path, right? Stick to your numbers. If you don't want 1,000 units, don't buy 1,000 units, right? Focus on what's important to you. If you want 10 houses because that's gonna pay for your retirement, that's probably what you should be focused on, right? I'm gonna give you a little bit of all of that today to make sure we get all of that covered. It's not about how many units you can buy. This is about how you can make the proper investment for where you are in your life that makes the most sense for you and your family. and do what's best for you. That's literally it. Do what's best for you. So first you gotta make the money. Okay? You can't invest money, you're gonna have no money to make. Right? And so I honestly and wholeheartedly and fundamentally believe that your sales business drives everything else. Real estate sales business drives everything else. It drives your money you can personally invest, right? Because you have to raise capital when you don't have the money. If you had the money, you would just buy it yourself, right? It drives the relationships. If you do have to raise capital, who are the people you need to probably raise it from, right? So what happens a lot of times when people go into new industries or new kind of portions of their own industry, they feel like they have to go get a new audience. There's very rarely a time where you have to change your audience. You just have to change your messaging. You sell your audience everything, right? I sell them houses. They invest with me. They find me deals. Like, my audience doesn't change. I talk to the same type of people because those are my people. Y'all are my people, right? Realtors and clients. Like, that's who I talk to. I went to a conference the other day, last month in Denver, and I felt out of place because they were talking about how they were raising money, and I was like, I just go to my people. Like, I just go to my people, and they know, like, and trust me, and I've shown them evidence of success, and so they say, hey, Ryan, like let's do this, right? And so I sell this person's house, and then they say, what am I going to do with this money? I was like, you can buy another one. You can invest in here. What do you want to do? Right? So it's the same audience, just a different message, right?
Does your family trust you now?
What's that?
Does your family that you had to pay back trust you now?
They trust me. They still put it. They did it again. They did it again.
Good.
We'll see if it works again, right?
Congratulations.
And also, and people, here's an example. I always like to relate this back to your sales business. If you want to get more listings, I guarantee you can still get it from the same audience. You want more listings. If you're a buyer here and you want more listings, the reason why you're not doing this because what you focus on you haven't focused on something to expand it. Simplest thing you can do for your sales business. Because I want you to make more money first. That's why I'm talking about this. That's why it's important, this little piece of this. Is if you needed more listings, the first thing I would do is go to the same people you talk about buying homes and talk about selling homes. Because all they see is, oh, first time buyers, interest rates are so low. That's all this buyer talk, right? Because that's what you're putting out in the atmosphere right now. That's the vibrations you're sending out. But once you change that messaging and you change your energy around that, I did that, and then my listings started coming. They just started coming because I started talking listings, right? And if you wanted more listings, that's the first thing I would do. And that's the simplest thing that you can do, right? You can go other ways, FISBO expires, etc. You can do that totally.
Well, actually, we've talked a lot about the message that we've been saying for the past years. Oh my God, the market is tough. There are no listings out there. Oh my God, and that's what our clients are hearing.
Yep.
So why would they come if they can't buy a listing rather than no? We sold more houses last year than ever sold.
Yep.
And that's the truth. We did.
Yep.
We did. So we changed that message.
You got to change that message.
That's the wrong message.
Yep. You got to put out a positive message with positive energy about the things you are doing. So you're spending time. So I just gave you a little bit of how to spend your time to make some more money, right? And what happens is now you make your money and you're able to cover your lifestyle, plus you got some extra money left over. That's how it's supposed to work, right? After you do that, then you start buying some assets. You buy assets because you want the cash flow. And you know what? I can't say that one. Not because it's PG, but my mom would get mad at me. Sometimes she would say something like, I'll be like, Mom, I need X amount of money to invest. She's like, oh, that ain't no money. Like on the return, like I'm like, Mom, this is great returns, And so sometimes you got to understand it's about getting on base. It's about getting on base. And if you bought a home and you only got a couple $100 from a cash flow, like, don't be ashamed of that. That's an investment, right? So you go from cash flow, and after that, then you can kind of go into equity. Once you got the cash flow that you need, and not just passive cash flow, just general cash flow, you got a nice rhythm with your sales business, you got some nice passive income coming, and your life is good, and you got extra money. Now you can make plays to build your network. Now, this is my personal like philosophy. This is not like the right thing to do. It's been right for me, which was build my sales business, invest in cash flowing assets, and then take those cash flowing assets and then build equity. That equity can be simple as putting that money in index funds, right? So now you got $1,000 coming in a month from your passive income, right? Well, you don't take it and just spend it. You can, because you did the right thing, which was you invested your initial money, and then now you can take the rewards of that investment and increase your lifestyle if you want. Or you can play chess, not checkers, right? And playing chess is keeping the money circulating in investments 2 times over. So to take the returns of your first investment, right, and then invest it in something else, right? Like that's playing chess. So if you take the returns and then you put it into the market, just a simple index fund, right? Like Vanguard or something like that. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you're gonna go simple index fund, that's the way, because also when you're buying properties, you're gonna need something on your balance sheet. And if everything is in real estate, sometimes it's tough for the bank to want to give you money. I've run into that. I'm like, look at all this real estate I got. They're like, we don't care. You don't have as much money. Like all your net worth is in the real estate. Where's your cash equivalent fund, right? That makes sense, guys? Any questions on this? Okay. So now.
And Ryan, quick question, just so they understand. So when did you get serious about investing?
I got, well, in my mind or in my hands, right? Because I've always been serious, but I purposely put investing aside while I spent the first 5 years building my millionaire real estate agent team. And some would say that wasn't the best thing to do, but that was just right for me. So I if you look at my timeline, it literally lines up and it's like 5 years. It's like, okay, now all of a sudden Ryan is like buying stuff.
So you started really a year ago, right?
Yeah, I started. All of this is, I had homes. I had a couple. I had like 3 properties, and I liquidated all of them except for the one I lived in. And it's not because I didn't have them because I wanted them. I had them because I had to keep them. It was like a flip gone bad and I had to rent it, right? So I
You were so honest and open.
Yeah, for sure. To a fault, probably. But so yeah, that's what happened. And so then I sold that home, and I couldn't even sell it myself, even though it wasn't that far away. I had so much trauma from it. I had to hire a friend to sell my home. I didn't, no one on my team, because I didn't want them coming back bringing stuff to me. I said, nope, I want an expert in this neighborhood, a friend of mine. You're gonna sell my home for me. Yeah, so I did that.
Smart.
And then after that, I had one home in the business, and I looked, and I had friends buying it. All you hear is, oh man, they're buying this, other man buying that. And like that can make you feel really insecure. That can make you feel like you're not doing anything. And I had to fight that because I knew that wasn't true. Like I had a plan, I had a 5-year plan, and I stuck to it. And then after I finished that, I created my next 5-year plan. And that's the way I did things. That's the way my mind works. It's tough for me to jump from thing to thing. I can only do one thing at a time. I'm terrible multitasker. Like I hit my head 3 times this morning on this thing. I think I got a concussion. Like the thing in my hotel, and I was like, it's because I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to do too many things at once, and I hit it. I said, man, that hurt. And I hit it again. I said, why did you do that? And then I sat down and I stood up and I hit it again. I was like, I really think I had a concussion. So does that make sense about like the sales business? Like, all right, you got your money and you're able to keep. You spend 70% of it, 80% of it on taxes and lifestyle, right? You got 20% left, 30% left. That's like a good cushion to have. Take, man, if you can do that, that'd be awesome, right? And so what I say is like, now you got your money. It doesn't matter how much it is that you've been able to save. It's something you still got to do the work, which means you got to put the money in the buckets. Here are the 5 places to put money, I believe. It's in real estate, business, stocks, cash equivalents, and giving, right?
And I love that you have giving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, people sometimes people try to save it to the end. And I want my flowers while I'm alive. So I want to give the things I care about. And then people are like, man, you're awesome. awesome, Ryan. You gave it, it's like, it's a win-win, right? Because I cared about it in the first place. I'm not giving just, haphazardly. I'll speak about this one thing about the giving, excuse me, is I think sometimes we focus on giving and there's so many places you can give, right? But man, I try to give as much to my community as possible, the people that's closest to me.
Yeah.
And I don't always get a tax write-off for it, but you know what? That's okay. Right? Because sometimes you got a cousin that needs help and I'm like, man, he needs to go work or she needs to go do. So sometimes they just need a hand up, man. You'd be surprised what a little money can go for them, right? And how they can change their mindset, right? To feel like someone actually cares about them. So I give to family, I give to friends, I give to just people who I touch on a regular basis. That's more important to me than, not that other people aren't important. These people are in my life. And I want them to have a better life. Everybody that I touch, I want you to make more money. That's literally my philosophy. If you came into my life, or if I came into your life, when I leave, just to go back up the road to DC, you should be making more money. You should be making more money. Because purpose of business is to there you go. So I'm trying to help you find your perfect life.
And is this part of your giving, Brian?
Yeah, that's part of my giving.
Being here with us, is that part of your giving?
Oh, with the time, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried all kind of little things. Like I used to, I coach an agent. I'm not big on like individual coaching. I coached a few agents. So I took the money and I gave it away. Right. So I had like $3,000 I give away every month or something or whatever. Like I would just give it away. Right. So that's part of it. Cash is cash in the bank. It's also cash equivalents. That means like whole life insurance, if you have a cash value attached to it, right? Stocks, I mean, I don't know anything about stocks outside of like S&P 500 index funds. Keep it real simple for a real simple person like me, right? Businesses, you invest in yourselves business, you can invest in other business, partnerships, JVs, all types of things. And then real estate, we all know what that is, right? Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so generally, I would say you try to have the buckets even because any one of these could fail. Right? You have people who, it's like, I had a friend, and he makes a lot of money, right? But he was invested heavily in any one like piece and it crashed. So he was invested heavy in the stock market. It crashed. He was invested heavy in real estate. Like the city of Atlanta made him sell all his property. He had a lot of properties. So like he's like, man, I'm just gonna keep my business and keep my cash, right? But it's just interesting, like he literally suffered each one of those because he was so heavy in one and didn't really have any diversity in there. And it's okay not to have diversity right away, right? But like if you put a lot of money over here, eventually you're gonna need to put something over here, over there, right? It's all about you create wealth typically through one vehicle, right? And then you preserve wealth through multiple vehicles. That makes sense. What's the advantages of real estate though? Because that's kind of what I'm here to talk about. The other stuff I'm not that good at, but this stuff I'm all right at. Okay. Cash flow, equity appreciation, and tax advantages. You are what's known as a rep, it's a real estate professional. And the tax advantages of real estate professionals far exceed any of the advantages of any other profession that I know of. So you get extra advantages because of that. Now, what are the investing strategies? I believe that there's 4 basic types of investing real estate strategies that I like subscribe to. I tried to break it down into something, one, that you can not only take for yourself, but take to your clients. A lot of my clients, they buy 2 to 3 homes in a 5-year period. That's what we teach them. When they come to us, you want a long-term client, they come to you, you say, here's your plan. We're gonna create I am your real estate advisor. Just like you have a money advisor, just like you have this tax advisor, I'm your real estate advisor. And this is what needs to happen over the next 5 to 10 years. Right? So I'm giving you some sauce for yourself, but the key is a lot of times realtors, we do. The reason I originally came realtor, I was like, man, my realtor is terrible. I can do this, right? I did this and I did, and I was like, man, I need to show other people how to do this. So we're natural teachers as realtors, right? Because we're advisors. Advisors advise, right? So you learn some stuff, and then you have along the stuff. That's fair. So primary resident investing. Anybody like knows like have an idea like what that could mean or what that is? Interaction in the class.
You're not just buying your primary home.
Man, I know, right? It's crazy. Just buying your own primary home. That's investing, right? If you sold it and more, when you got more money for it than you paid for it, you call it an investment. Yeah, some people say the primary home is not an investment. I'll say, why not? They say, well, you don't get any cash flow from it. I say, well, you don't get any cash flow from the stock market either, unless you got dividends. You got growth stocks, you don't get it. Like, what are you getting cash flow from? Okay, so it's unrealized gains, fair, and you realize it when you sell it.
I tell all my first time buyers that you've been paying rent for all this time, you've got nothing to show for it. Buy something.
Yep, I believe the primary residence is a fantastic hedge against life. And what I mean by that is, what are the two largest expenses that you're gonna have in life? House. And
Children.
Let me change the context a little bit. What's the most expensive things that's gonna be in your life when you're 75?
Health.
Health.
And housing. Yeah, the insurance, I kind of put that all in healthcare. But so as an advisor, I believe there's defense and offense, right? And so the defense in me says you buy this home, you pay it off, and that's your defense against the expenses that you're gonna have when you're in the sunset chilling on the beach, right? So if I can take off, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a month of your expenses after 30 years, I feel like I did my job, right? People don't think about it like that, but that's how I think about it. 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you're in a much better, you don't have to pay as much, right? Because you're gonna pay a lot on the healthcare. I can't help you there. But this house thing, I can. Primary residence investing. Now, here's the thing about that though. How many primary residents, like how many times can you buy a primary residence?
At least five.
Who knows, right? You just gotta keep buying them,
Yeah.
right? And so like, all right, you buy your, I'm gonna use DC kind of market, right? You buy your condo, your 1-bedroom condo, then you buy a 2-bedroom condo, and then you buy a townhome, then you buy a single family home, right? You can do that every couple years. Okay, say it takes you 5 years because you don't make as much money. So what? It took you 5 years instead.
Well, the
Okay,
good news is also you get appreciation.
exactly,
My house is appreciated tremendously just in like 2 years' time. It's ridiculous.
for sure. I mean, and that's fantastic. Like, I mean, this market is, as you know, it's a little crazy. So how many primary, I think that's an opportunity to have over $1 million worth of real estate by having 3 to 5 homes that you bought your primary resident investing. And that's not rocket science, and it's not anything too crazy, right? Very doable, right?
So you're talking about going out and using the equity in your house to buy something else.
No. I actually think you buy the home, and then once you're finished, you rent it out.
Gotcha.
And then,
Okay.
now if you need to, sometimes you do need to sell it. That's a different kind of conversation, but the point is like, you're able to go get cheap financing on your primary residence home.
Right.
So you put 0% down on the first one. In our market, I always say you can do 0 to 3% on your first one. Then you can do 5% on one, right? You can do FHA 3. That's 3 where 5% or less down on a home. Somewhere between 0 and 5% on a home. And your return on investment, if you really look at it, you say, all right, if I can cash flow this, what would it look like? You only put so much money into it, right? So your return on investment is going to be really high versus when you put 20% down. That makes sense, guys?
It does, yeah.
So you move from that, and then like, okay, you bought enough primary residence and life's getting good, you're selling real estate, it's all right over there. And you say, hey man, what's this vacation thing about? Let's do some vacation home rentals. Let's go on the beach. Some people want to go to the mountains, right? Some people want to go to the tundra. It's your choice. You get to choose where the vacation is, right? You can go to Canada, right? And so what all of this is really based on what the capital requirements are. That's how I'm defining this. And so it's vacation rentals. What's your down payment? Anybody know?
20%.
Is that what y'all doing?
Mhm.
Yeah, 10%.
10%?
10%.
If it's a second home, it can be 10%.
Second home,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
correct.
that's true.
And where can your second home be? They just got,
Yeah.
how do you
Mountains,
define a
Lake,
second home?
yeah.
Yeah.
100, is it 100 miles?
I think, I mean, I
There's
know.
no actual miles.
Miles, yeah.
Yeah. So it could be an hour, which they're probably gonna, the thing is, the underwriter's actually looking at the story at that time.
Yeah.
Right, it's super safe to buy mountains or lakes.
You got a house in the mountains, that probably counts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You got a house on the beach, it probably counts, right? You got a house back home where you used to live a long time ago, it's a vacation you like to show, it probably counts.
Mhm.
I've seen all of those get passed.
Yeah.
So now you're putting 10% down. So you went from, you had the 0 to 5% homes, right? And now you're getting 10% because you go to masterminds in Florida or Arizona, or you go to Austin for mega camp once a year anyway, right? You might as well rent it out to all the realtors going, let me go buy a vacation home there.
Well, I'm on
And
that.
I remind everybody, guys,
That's just our
look at who you ask questions to. I had an IRA that was doing nothing. And I asked my accountant, I said, he'd been my accountant for 20 years. I said, can I take that money and can I invest it into a rental house? He goes, no, you cannot do that. I went, really? I've been told I could do it. So I asked somebody that knew and they went, of course you can do that.
Yes.
So my accountant, who I trusted, was wrong. So just be careful who you get advice from, right?
That's
Ryan?
very much true. Yeah, and you gotta seek, you have to seek the truth. And I accept that everybody's good at something, right? So like my person who is really good at real estate sales business on my tax advising is not gonna be the best on my investment advising. I have to accept that. He just doesn't, he knows this in and out, he doesn't know that. Right? Yeah, I definitely have an SC, so self-directed, you can move your money to self-directed IRA accounts, and then from there you can invest it into
And we all
whatever
got
you want.
have an aunt or an uncle or a grandmother, whatever, that they have accounts sitting there doing nothing and say, grandma, let's put that in, make some money for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. That's like my grandma loves making money.
Yeah.
She loves making money. Yeah, she's a businesswoman. So now you got a couple vacation homes. I bought one, you know, by the beach, 3.5 hours away. It was fun. I liked it. And it was cheap. It was like, you know, relatively cheap. It was 227,000. I think that's cheap. I don't know if you guys think it's cheap.
We're rental
Oh, yeah.
homes.
Yeah. And it's just a little 3-bedroom rambler that's less than a 5-minute walk to the beaches.
That's
Walk out
awesome.
the house and walk up 1 block, and I see the stairs right there. Boom. Right? So you can do that. And then there's long-term investing, which is more traditional where you put how much down? You have to buy an investment property.
25
Is
to get
it?
the best rate.
25.
Is it 25?
To get the best rate, I think.
To get the best rate.
I think
Right.
I think there's a break at 25. I think you can put less.
Right, but I would say, like, when does rate matter?
I mean, if you're long-term investing, it kind of matters, right?
It's the cash flow.
Well,
What's the
okay.
cash
Well, I guess
flow?
it depends on the
Yeah.
cash flow.
Yeah.
Right, so that's where I was going with that.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
like, how much does it cost? How much does it actually cost you though? Because if you bought something for 100K, like the difference between the 4.5 and 5, like, it's not too
Nothing.
much. Now, granted, your cash flow might not be as much either, but like, you can just look at the numbers. And I'm looking at something right now. Yeah, I'm gonna, my interest rate's gonna be like, I think 5.5. But the difference between that and the 4.5 or 4 is like $100. I said, I guess, right? Like,
Mhm.
And then how
kinda
much
is
are
what it
you,
is.
what are you putting down? What's your percentage?
for that one's gonna be 20% down. Yeah, 20% down. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that as we get into that.
Mhm.
With your vacation home, are you renting it out in your absence?
Yeah, I'm Airbnb it out. I might be selling it to 1031 it into a different property. So 1031.
Do you pay somebody to manage it?
Oh yeah, man. I'm terrible at property management. Yeah, I'm a realtor, man. Like, you know, that's done. I already made my money, like, in my mind. Like, when I bought it, when I finished it work, I made my money, but that's not true. Like, someone needs to manage it and make sure I actually make the money. So I have to bring in people to really help me with that part.
But if you have one, though, guys, you can manage yourself, because I had one at one.
Yeah,
time.
you got
If you
one.
have one, because that's extra money you can put back from not giving 40% to the management. Yeah.
But yours is probably closer,
Yeah.
3.5 hours away. I can't manage that. Like, that's a little bit more difficult for me. And maybe I could, I don't know.
Yeah, mine was 5.5 hours.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well,
But I had good people down there though.
yeah. You trust some people you trusted
Yeah,
already and
exactly, yeah.
everything.
I attribute it to like doing your own contracts versus hiring leverage to do contract clerk. I think of property management the same way. I pay some.
Yeah, and I think depends also, you say how good of an, so I did it because I wanted to build a relationship with this person. Yeah. So I coached him. This is also actually a pretty cool story. I coached him, right? And the next year he was like, I guess rookie of the year or something like that. And he sold he kind of started part-time. He still dual career, but he sold like 15 homes his first year. He called me and he sent me a referral. I said, it looks like you need a coach. He said, you coach me. I said, all right, I give it a shot. I don't coach too much, but I'll give it a shot. The next year he sold 50 homes. The next year. Yes. And he's basically like, I think he's top in his market center now. Like he's doing pretty well. I mean, he's selling 400K, so that's pretty good, right? And then he helped me buy that home I was telling you about. So now he's my realtor down there. And then he also helped me buy my 15 unit, right? My realtor down there. And then his mom does, the reason we got work together, the reason I bought that one is because he told me how much money he was making from his Airbnbs, because he had like 10 of them. So I said, well, you find me one like you like. And most people say, well, why would they give it to you? It's like people run out of money. Can't buy them all. If you can't buy it, then let me buy it. I'm your friend, right? And then passive income. Passive income is doing nothing. And so I don't think there's anything that's actually passive out. Like I can't name like what's really passive, like 100%. I think there's a little bit of work of everything.
Profit share is.
Profit share is. Nothing.
We had to
Once
work.
you get them in there, yeah, you gotta do the little bit of, hey, you need to come talk to our friend, like, hey, you need,
You also gotta
like,
keep
that's
them.
part of it.
Yeah.
But there's no business where it's like fully passive, I think personally. And like, yeah, I'm a little bit different on the profit share. I have a good profit share. I mean, I probably make 12 grand a year. It's pretty decent. So I got like, I got a bunch. I got my business partner in my downline, so that probably helps. Yeah. Yeah. I got he was the rookie of the year, and then he brought in the rookie of the year the next year. So like we kind of have like this lineage thing going on. And the person that brought me in, Harrison, he was 30 under 30. So we always talk about like your lineage is like kind of important in the downline on how, because it's how you determine success, because you can go talk to them and stuff like that.
If you get your first line to 15, that 10 or 12,000 will go to 50 to 100,000.
Yeah, I was actually the top growth partner last year in my market center.
Good for you, but good for you.
So passive income, we'll talk about that. So let's go in there. Primary residence, 3 to 5% down payment. You can do it several times. You can also buy 2 to 4 units. I think that's what's really powerful about that, because you can use the FHA loan to go buy a 4-unit property.
If you could find them around here.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah, if you could, because the people who own those, I call them all the time because I do out-of-state owners. They're like, no, we're not selling those. Matter of fact, if you can help me find some, I'll buy some.
Yeah. Somebody gonna sell them at some point, though.
Yes.
So it's your job to find them, but it happens. And maybe it's just a duplex, right? But what's beautiful about it is like those things cash flow like really well if you can get them. So I really like the buy. I always say like within your first primary residence, one of them should be like a multi-unit property, because you only got to put 3.5% down. Okay. The cons, moving sucks. A lot of people don't like to move from their house. They're like, man, I made this house a home. It's mine now. I don't want to move. But that's the cost of doing business in primary home residence. That just is what it is. I'm not saying move because my wife doesn't like moving. So we haven't moved. I can't even implement this one so much myself. I tried to move a few times and like stuff got in the way. So yeah, it's not a lot of equity at first a lot of times, and then higher payments to carry. Like, so if someone's, moves out or whatever, you're gonna have a higher payment to carry. Those are kind of the cons. So I want you to know like the pros and cons of things. But it really works though. Okay. Vacation home rental, 10% down. You go find places to hang out. That's why I love this place. I love going to the beach. I love going to, I'm not saying I got bad allergies, so I can't go to mountains too much. But other than that, like I like going to places that are fun, right? I like going to Arizona, right? It's like Sedona and stuff like that. It's beautiful out there. You need some cash. You got to put 10% down. And a lot of times they're a little bit higher, more expensive, right? So 300,000, like that was cheap for me, but most of these vacation homes, 600,000, $1 million, putting down real money to get to them. Okay. And then the kind of short-term to medium-term use, you know, you're gonna have to get somebody in to help carry that. And there's a cost for that with time and energy and effort, right? And you gotta carry on the balance sheet, which means that's gonna affect your debt to income ratio. Yep. So it can be tougher to buy more homes if the lender comes and looks at your debt to income ratio, right? And then you need 2 years of earnings for them to kind of say, hey, I see you got some rent here and rent there. Well, so far, so good. So far, so good. Long-term investing. You can be these guys, you can be this guy, right?
Butler, we're good.
Okay,
We're good.
good to go. So investment framework, what do you need to make a real estate investment? I'm doing this on the long-term investment because that's like the traditional investment model. So we'll talk about it like that. The other one's a little bit more, I'm not gonna say non-traditional, they're there, but it just operates a little differently. So, but in all cases, you gotta find a deal, you gotta know how to evaluate a deal, you know how to finance a deal, renovate a deal, and then manage a deal. That happens in every deal, right? Like, it happens in your sales business, the same thing. Except like you kind of stop at find and evaluate, right? Then finance goes to your lenders, Silverton Mortgage, and then after that, like your clients renovate themselves, right? And then they manage it themselves. So you're always a part of this because guess what? They're gonna ask you how to finance it. Oh yeah, there's a red thing on here, right? Yeah, they're gonna ask you to finance it. They're gonna ask you how to renovate it, right? They're gonna ask you how to manage it. So you're already doing these things. You're just doing it for other people, right? That's all. Okay, so here I'm giving you these scenarios. So to show you kind of like what my deals look like, because I want you to take something away from that too. So the first property was 68 units. Purchase price 4.91 million. Renovation was 470K. Light value add, raised 1.8 million in capital. And then the assumed exit is going to be around 7 mil or so. Property 2, 15 units, 1.4 purchase, renovation about 100K, capital raise, exit. Capital raise 500K, exit is about 3 million. My favorite deal.
Go back to, you mean by exit, what you sell it for?
What I'm selling for, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
How long are you projecting that to? Yeah.
Projecting my sales projection.
Gotcha.
Well,
Thank you.
How long is your strategy to keep property before
Going
selling?
to get right into it. Yep, but generally 4 to 7 years. But it depends on the deal though. Like this deal, I want to keep. I have investors in these deals, 1 and 3. So at some point, investors want their money back. You don't get to hold their money forever. So there's got to be an exit, basically. Most investors, even though you think like, oh man, I want a long-term forever invest, right? But when someone else is managing your money, you probably want to have access to it at some point. So it doesn't last forever. It's a little bit tougher.
So are your investors your family and friends? Like what you were mentioning before, who are your investors?
Well, let's talk about how we find the deals first, and then we'll get into how we actually get the investors. Look at this guy.
Clients, peers, and other investors.
Well, who are your clients? Who are my clients?
Your
Same buyers and sellers as buy everything else, right?
Database.
Yeah, same page. Yeah, for sure. There's some rules around investing, so it's got to be people you already know to do these kind of deals. If you JV, that's one thing, but if you do it how I'm doing it, there are like SEC regulations around it. So it's only people that already know. That's why it's so important that they're already this. So I don't like, just be like, hey, here's this deal. Who wants to come invest with me? Right? You can't really do that. Well, you can do that, but not in the way I'm doing it. So I'm doing what's called 506B. And that means I cannot advertise the deal publicly. 506C, you can advertise the deal, but then the people have to be accredited investors. Accredited investor means they have $1 million net worth outside of their primary residence. I believe has to be liquid, or they have for a single person, $200,000 income for 2 years or more, and for a family of 300,000. So because of that, my grandmother, who's retired, does not make $200,000, $300,000 a year, so she can invest in it, right? So that's why I got to do the other one. And some of my friends, they don't have that much money, but they want to invest, right? And there's like, you got realtors who don't make that much. I mean, they make good money, and maybe they're not there yet, but you know, they're savvy. So they call them sophisticated investors. They can invest in these properties, peers, and then other investors, other people who are just want to have capital, right? Capital raise or capital to deploy. So how did I source these deals? I mean, how did I find these deals? Sourcing, that's a fancy word commercial people use. The first one was a commercial broker email. Initially I got on as many commercial broker emails as I could. They don't really like advertise to the public like that. They kind of keep things a little bit more in-house. So I just reached out to many people, went to their website, anybody I could find. I just joined their website. So I found it. I was like, hey man, this looks like a good deal. My guy was like, what? You know, we had just met 2 years ago, my other partner, Jason, and not 2 years, 2 months, 2 months previously of that deal. And I called my buddy Rob from DC. I said, hey Rob, you know anybody who's in this space? I'm really trying to get in this space. I'm giving you the origin story, right? I'm really trying to get in this space. He said, hey man, you should talk to my buddy Jason. He's doing the same thing as you, or doing the same thing you're trying to do. And so he connected me with Jason, who lives actually down here. I just met him yesterday for lunch. We just had lunch yesterday. And Jason was like, hey man, yeah, if you see any deals, like let's see if we can work together. We talk to most people in these spaces, you get new spaces, they don't get deals for years. And so within like 30 days, I found something, said, Jason, I think this is it. And he's like, newbie, like probably not, but you know, I'll take a look. He said, Ryan, I think you're right. It's like, I know I was right. So listen to me. And so at that point, Jason and I became partners. We're literally about to do another deal. We just got another deal in the contract too. So, so that's how I found it. But that was just being on these email lists, right? That's it. How did I find the second one? MLS. Hey, you got a commercial section in the MLS. You guys know that?
Yes.
Yeah, we can look over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some stuff over there. Yeah. And it might not be deals all the time, but that's the whole point, right? You should find one. So I found that one on MLS, and I wrote an offer, sight unseen, contingent. It was a price I liked, and they gave it to me. And then the last one, the third property was commercial brokers. So how do you evaluate deals, right? So now you find, how do you find a deal? All right, now you got these different properties coming in, and you're looking at it and you say, okay, how do I know whether I have a good deal or not? Well, it's really all about what's important to you, right?
So what's your minimum? When you're looking at a deal, what's your minimum, you know, I gotta make at least X.
It's no word.
Next slide.
This guy's heard
Next
these
slide,
questions.
Rick.
This guy's heard these
See, we're
questions
on top of it,
before.
right? We're thinking ahead.
Yeah.
We need
No,
to slow down.
I call those you know, alley-oops, right?
Yeah.
Set me up.
I'm just here to help.
Yeah, man, you're doing a good job. Hey, I like.
There you go.
There you go. Just dunking it. So, for my investors, I like to be better than the stock market. That's the key. I like to be better than the stock market. And cash on cash return of at least 8%. And these deals are a combination of cash and equity, right? So cash on cash returns are 8%, and total returns are like 1.8 on the investment over whatever period of time. That means like, so I'm gonna do 2 because it's simple. You put in $50,000, you should get 100 back. The original 50 plus another 50. That 50 is a combination of the cash flow you're getting plus the equity when you sell the property. Make sense? Yeah. Pretty straightforward, right?
It's easy.
Yeah. That's my return. I'm a simple guy. I don't have a lot of crazy metrics. I know like there's all these different things here. I always say it's 2 things I look for first, because you have to put yourself last. And that is, whoever's getting your money is going to determine the market. Just like in sell, like when you're buying and selling homes, like somebody else is I'm not determining the market as a realtor, right? Like the market is determining the market. Same thing for the money. Same things for like, to be able to get a deal, somebody's got to be willing to give it to me. So what do banks look for? They're looking for a debt service coverage ratio. You heard of that term? All that means is whatever total expenses that you have, they want a percentage over that expense. So if you have a house that's got $1,000 in mortgage and insurance, like PETA, right? Plus property management, plus you count for a little bit of vacancy, right? Say that all comes to $1,000 on average, right? Well, the bankers want to see, depending on the bank, usually like 1.2x that, 1.25x that. So if you multiply $1,000 times 1.25, you're gonna get $1,250, right? So the bank is gonna want to see a profit margin of $250 on that. That makes sense. And then, so the bank wants to see that. Investors wants to see cash on cash. No, the bank's gonna want to see capitalization rate as well. That's gonna be your net operating income over your purchase price. Right. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, your net operating income over your purchase price.
Is the
Capitalization rate. You also hear people say, call it cap rate. A little bit easier to say, right? So banks look for those two things. If you're going to bank for investments, that's what they're looking for. Now, what do investors look for? They're gonna look on what's your cash on cash, what's the equity they get, what's the exit value, internal rate of return, which is like the combination of like how much cash flow you get plus how much equity you're gonna get over a period of time. So it's a funny term. I don't really like to use it too much because I think it's weird, but it's a term that you use across all investment models. And if someone was in a different industry and they wanted to know how good of an investment this real estate was, they would use this because they have that in stocks and bonds and private equity and hedge. They have it all across the board. That makes sense?
Yes.
Questions so far? Somebody else want to throw me a lob?
Hey, Ryan, I'll just go ahead and ask one. So I'll just say, me included, I mean, I would say probably the majority of us here, we realtors, we help our residential clients, maybe commercial clients find deals, right? Negotiate deals. So I know when I first started working with a few investors, and I don't do a lot, this was the most intimidating part of taking on an investment, right?
Yeah.
And so my question is, maybe others will have this question too, is my knowledge right now is I can't figure all that out. So like as an investor, obviously we can go get that info. Where would we point our client, investor, buyer to? Meaning some of them have information to get all this figured out, but like who would they talk to or how would they get that information, I guess, plain and simple?
Yeah, so two things. Every investor, every person that you buys a house with you, right after you buy a house and give you a tip, right? You should give them the Millionaire Real Estate Investor Book. That's the first thing you should do, right? And then the second thing you should do is actually learn these. Because even though they sound like really big words, I promise you, you'll be able to get it pretty quickly. In fact, what's cash on cash mean? Let's just go through. What's cash on cash?
How much money you make
What's
on
in
top
the
of it?
If I gave you $100 and then you gave me $8 back, what's your cash on cash return? 8%. We can do that, right? We can do that math, right?
Okay, all right.
So so I'll tell you the deal I'm doing. I'm gonna get to some of the smaller deals too. I want some of this. I'm buying a deal for $290K. Right? Gross rents are $2,900 a month. Right? So when you do all the magic math with the mortgage people with 20% down, etc. Right? You need to bring about I'm sorry. Not that deal. I didn't finish that math yet. $350K. The gross rents are 3,550. Different. Pretty much the same deal though. You can tell, right? Like you see what Ryan likes to have in the market. I like the 1%.
1%.
Right. So I'm 3550 on the deal, 75K to the table. And then my partner on the deal, in this particular case, my partner is gonna make 15% cash on cash, right? Because they're gonna make around $1,000 a month. So they're gonna put they're gonna have 75K in the deal, and then they're gonna make $1,000 of net profit per month. So that'd be $12,000 over 75,000 the money they put in. That's gonna calculate the cash on cash. You can do that, right? 12,000 and 75,000. Yeah, we can do that. I believe in you guys. You can do that. You do way other math already. So.
And respectfully, when I was told by my accountant, you cannot do that, I thought, interesting. I went to one of our mortgage people in-house, and he says, well, yeah, I can do it. I do it all day long. And he sat down with me and showed me how it happened.
Yeah.
So go ask one of the mortgage people.
Ask them, especially for cap rate,
They know all that stuff well.
They're gonna tell you those.
And they can tell your client also.
Yeah, and most investors traditionally go by cap rate and DSCR. And your mortgage person, the reason they go by that is because the mortgage people go by that.
Right.
So they need the money from the mortgage. So for them to get a loan, they gotta make sure it hits these whatever numbers that the mortgage people want. So talk to, skip your client and go to the mortgage people and get the numbers from them. Like, I promise you, you can put this in a little calculator, have a little calculator out there, go to like Bigger Pockets or something like that. BiggerPockets.com, give you a little calculator. Yeah. I know it sounds intimidating. The only thing that's really intimidating to me on here was the internal rate of return. Everything else, you can learn this in a week. Put your mind to it. And not like crazy, like all day, like just an hour a day.
I have a quick question. Unfortunately, I have to leave shortly, but when you do all these investments, are you doing this all under like do you have one corporation that you use for investing, Ryan's Corporation, or are you doing this individually, setting up different companies every time you do a different
LLCs that has ownership from different owners.
But for you, like everything that you're in,
Yeah.
it's just under one umbrella?
No.
Oh, every property you have has a separate.
They're different LLCs.
Okay.
That has a parent ownership company.
Okay.
They have a company that owns all these different LLCs.
Got it.
Right. So somebody's got to own the LLCs. If you have somebody's gonna own. So I have I funnel them down to like another LLC.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for coming. So, but simply for me though, I kind of look at like how much cash, if I can do the 1% rule, and then if I buy a property, I can increase the rents by a couple $100. Like that's my 15-second evaluation method.
And if I could, I'll just follow by saying, like I've got a guy right now. He's like, hey, Eric, if you find me a deal,
What's the deal?
So, he did a flip. So he already had it. So I ended up listing it for him. So, I mean, that was one thing. But then after that transaction finished, he's like, okay, great job. Now keep me posted if you find other things. Now, I guess what I'm probably reading from you is I need to say, okay, what do you need? What are you really looking for? So when I go, meaning I'm not doing any of that calculation for him because, right? Like he's on my listing, sir. So finding in certain price points, certain areas, then that's not gonna really be helping him.
From an agent perspective, I think it's even simpler. Just go, if you sold his property, what did you sell it for?
You want all the
No,
numbers?
like what did he buy it for?
Offhand, I'm trying to.
It's okay if you don't know.
I wanna
Because
say-
the point is,
Yeah, he made.
go find what he bought that for and just go find the same property again. You don't have to
Yeah,
if you found that same property again for him, guess what? He'd do it.
you do it
Every time.
if you make it right. Yeah.
Well, he wants you to find that deal again, so yeah, I'm sure he's happy with it. Yeah. Because he already knows what his construction costs are, but the flips are different than the buy and hold. So that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
How do you finance it? Cash, personal bank loan, commercial loan, hard money loan, private investors, owner finance. These are you can finance a deal, right? How did I finance mine? I took what's called agency debt. So it's like funny for like first residential homes and then like big deals. You pretty much go to the government to get you kind of like government backed loans, right? Because who's buying these? The reason we got cheap financing is why they're passing those loans on their securitized. There's security from the government that they're gonna hold those loans, right? So the bank's comfortable giving 3%, 5%, 10%, right? The same thing when it comes to bigger deals. Like if you got a deal that's pretty much like over like $1.5 million, like Fannie and Freddie will basically like hold the security behind those loans for the bank, so you don't have to put as much down. So when I go to a local bank, you know, they kind of determine how much you should put down, right? So that's been 25% as I've built relationships with them. But then when I went to the agency debt, I went to Freddie loan. They gave me 18% of the total cost, right? So that means like the purchase, renovation, expenses. I put 18% down. It's not too bad on a $5 million property. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are all of the properties that you're finding in need of renovation or some turnkey?
I typically like a little bit of, I call it light value add. Look at you. Man. So how can you like what type of renovation? These are the three, right? It's either a lot, a little, or none at all. Like that's just type of renovations, right? So for me, I kind of like this one right here, this like light renovation, where I can do a little bit of work that adds a lot of bit of value. That's my preference, right? The gut, I'm like, you know, because fundamentally for me, I want an asset. So when I say like defense, offense, for me, defense, I want an asset that's cash flowing from day one. I don't like buying assets without cash flow from day one. That's not my investment model. So if it's cash flowing, and then I can like update the units as they turn and increase the rent, good day for me. Right? I'm a simple guy, guys. This simply how I think about things. I'm like, how simple can I get on this? It's like, all right, great. It's cash flowing. That's great. It's cash flowing. All right, win number one, right? Like
Day one.
Day one. Then it's like, all right, great. I can increase the rents when they leave. All right, cool. Let's do it. Or increase it on the lease renewals. Right. I didn't have much to say about the renovation because there's just most of my stuff is like for renovation of the unit is like 5 to 10K per unit on the turn. It's just kind of like a standard turn for an apartment building. So I don't think there's much that I can add to that. So I didn't say. Property manage. So you can property manage. You can self-manage or sorry. Property manager, self-manage, and asset manager. Those are kind of three different pieces. So we know what a property manager is, right?
Yes.
And we know what self-manager is, right?
Yes.
All right. Asset manager is like basically someone who's managing the assets. So you talk to this person, talks to the property manager. It's just like another layer, right? So you got a whole bunch of properties across the country, and you know you got different property managers. You need someone to kind of probably control that. That's as you get bigger. And then the passive income piece of that, right? It's like, all right, most realtors, what I found is most realtors are so busy, it's really difficult for them to invest in real estate because they're trying to build this business over here. That takes a lot of energy because, I mean, you're servicing clients day and night, you know, so when are you going to have time to go do it? Well, I hope you do have time to go do it, but if you don't, there's an opportunity for you to invest still in real estate. Sorry, that's a little small right there. I didn't realize that was so small. So generally what happens in the deals I'm doing, there's what's called a general partner, and then there's what's called a limited partner. And so as you can see, there's a lot of stuff that goes under the general partnership, and then like the limited partner is doing what? Collecting checks. Yeah.
So it's like a solid partnership, maybe? The limited partner?
That's another way to look at it, yeah.
It's almost like investing in the stock market and then getting the check at the end of the month or whatever.
That's exactly pretty much what it is. Yeah, that's how it works. And so The general partners out there, just like anything else, they're managing your money. They're managing the deals. They're going to find deals, putting deals together, they're putting all the things together that makes a good deal. And then in the end, there's a sharing of the money and the equity and stuff like that. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay. And then I was gonna show you this, but yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can take the audio. There. Might have to turn it up on the TV. But while she's doing that.
Hey guys, it's Ryan Butler with Starline Capital Partners.
It's Phil Gable with Riverside Investments Group.
Jason Stubblefield, founder at SNS Capital Partners.
I want to introduce you to our new multifamily acquisition, a 68-unit apartment building in Georgia. Welcome to Meadow Woods Apartments.
This is going to be a very light value add play.
We walked all 68 of these units. We looked at the property and it fits perfectly into our investment model.
What I love about Meadow Woods is that we have an opportunity to add a lot of value where there's already some structural strengths in the property. The grounds are well maintained. The property is over 90% occupied. And what we're going to be able to do is to go into units as they turn over, meaning that someone leaves, and then go up and make updates and increase the rent. That's how we're going to add value to this property. And that's how you're going to make your money.
We got 3 different types of units. We have the classic sort of untouched, we got partially renovated, and we got fully renovated.
What I love about Augusta, Georgia is that it is a stable community.
It's on the border of South Carolina and Georgia. And as of right now, we've got a lot of trends driving demographics and high-paying jobs down to this area. And that's highlighted by the U.S. Army Cyber Command that's recently moved to Fort Gordon, right outside of Augusta.
We're going to be able to increase each of the units' premium by about $150 to $175 through turnover. What that means is that if someone moves out of the property and someone moves into the property, we're going to paint, redo the floors, redo the kitchen, redo the bathrooms, and that's going to allow us to increase the rent.
And we look to do a good service to the community, to the people who are here, and also to the investors involved with us.
So you ask, how can you be a part of this amazing opportunity? Well, we are looking for investors for this property, and this is a great opportunity for you to take your money that you have that's sitting around and be able to invest in a great multifamily asset that's going to kick off the cash flow as well as bring you equity.
So that was the video I did for the first property of 68 units, and that was like the marketing video that we created for our potential investors. So that's that.
For your investors, what's
And
the
that's
initial
the
amount?
policy.
Sorry, what's the minimum amount?
Yeah, it depends on the deal, but it's usually somewhere between $25,000 and $50,000. Yeah, and you can join. You can turn the lights on too if you want. You can join. But I say like some people need to put less. You can create an LLC together, where you put your monies in. You can invest as an LLC with that minimum amount.
So how does like title or deed work in a situation with multiple investors?
Oh, yeah. So basically, there's going to be an LLC that owns the entity, owns the property. And then that LLC is owned by other LLCs.
Yeah.
And it just keeps going down like as deep as it needs to go. It can be like a 2 to 3 level structure, meaning LLC, property LLC 123 Main Street is owned by General Partner LLC and Limited Partner LLC. Right.
Question.
Yes.
Right, so I can read the minds because I'm old enough to be able to read. I mean, so the question is, That sounds good for you, Ryan. I mean, that just sounds so great, but man, I mean, here I am, I'm a single agent. Golly, I can't even think about buying my personal property. So what got you off of doing nothing to doing this, just like amazing stuff? In other words, what got you to thinking, oh my God, I can do these because you went from one to all these properties like overnight. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I
Mindset?
Yeah, well, I think part of it is like understanding my strengths and weaknesses. And so I don't do good with small properties because I'm not as, like I said, don't hire me as a property manager. If I have a property management company, you can hire them, but don't hire me directly, okay? I'm just really bad at it. And so I knew where my strengths lie, and that was in teamwork. And that the bigger the business, the more valuable I am in that business. So I had to go do bigger business. I had to go do bigger deals because that's how I added value. I add value when there's a lot going on. That's me personally. But so I would say you can get into deals a couple different ways. Who wants to just do like a single family?
I want a beach house.
You want a beach house?
I
Me
do.
too.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
I want a beach house.
Beach house in Georgia? We're going to Georgia
No,
Beach?
we're going Florida.
We're doing Florida.
Yes.
Okay. How much does a beach house cost in Florida?
Bring your money.
Yeah, a lot, a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, if
What-
you get a
what's-
condo, it's directly on the
Yeah.
beach, like Fort Walton or
Let's
something.
say seven.
You're thinking too much. You don't have to be right on the beach.
I want to be.
No, you have to be on the beach.
Across the street.
So let's say 1 million, 1 million on the beach.
I want to be across the street
We'll
where
just
I
say
can see the water.
6,
I've got to see
But
the
is that
water.
your top of the street? You're talking
Second home.
Second home,
It's second home, and so when I'm not there, I'm gonna Airbnb it.
correct, right.
Right.
So how could you do that? 750. How much, so how much money is that?
So you have 10% down.
10% down, is that 75,000?
Yes.
Okay, can I write on this?
Sure.
Yes,
please.
it is.
Oh, no, right on that.
Okay, who wanted a beach house? One, two, who
Well,
else?
Hold on, I think about three.
Everyone.
Seriously.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We all give 10,000.
I want to.
500.
I want New Year's Eve.
Spring break.
Yeah,
Right? I mean, I know this sounds simple, but
yeah.
it's true though, right?
It is true.
It is true.
Wait, why does
We're,
it cost off
we're
the zero?
overthinking it.
I'm
It's
just,
70 to
I'm getting rid of
75.
all, because when you divide it, it's the same.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Um,
it's
you're saying-
15,000 each, not even that much.
I'm sorry, I crossed off this because it's 7 people,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I don't know why I crossed off
That
that.
out,
was-
yeah, yeah.
No, it was more than 7 people. It
Oh,
was-
right now?
We'll just
Yeah,
call
it
it
was
10
about
for easy
10
math.
that had
10
to
for, 10 for
10 for
easy
easy
math.
math.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we need $7,500.
Wow.
How many,
Take
how many
one.
cells is that?
One.
All right, so you go
One
sell,
commission
you go
check.
sell 2 homes extra this year,
Okay,
and then you all put your money together and you buy a home.
that's so easy.
But why did that work though? Because here's the thing I want to shift with you.
Yeah,
You thought about it only you.
yes.
We
And
started-
there's
Yeah,
power in me,
Yeah.
right?
We started networking and
It's not-
talking.
Yeah, because here
So
now
there's
you bring it
one
up, how many
company?
people may be interested?
And so you're saying that's
Talk to your
exactly what
database.
you did to buy 100 units last year.
And you just, as a group, created the LLC?
There's like, well, that's, you gotta get
Yeah.
technical, there's like
Mhm.
SEC attorneys that build all this stuff for me, I don't build that
Okay.
stuff, yeah, I don't. But for you guys, because you guys would be, so you can create LLC, you can do it how you want, LLC structuring is like a whole jam on its own, but just the basis of it is, the spirit, if you will, not the law, the spirit is you guys need $7,500 each. And you guys go buy a beach home together.
All right, so I'm gonna give you a different advantage on this. Here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. I got it. So we had the same scenario. They wanted to buy a beach house for $750,000. What they want to do? The 3 of us are gonna go together and buy it together, okay? Carolina, we said, but I want New Year's Eve. I want spring break. So we decided to buy something for $250 over on the beach. We had it for 12 years, paid for itself.
Yeah.
So guys, respect for it. If you want to be on the beach, God bless you. It's about $1 million just for the land. God bless you. What I mean,
I wanna be on the beach.
Guys, go buy one for $250. The beach is important to you. Get together. The guys go buy one for $250 because they're down there. They may not be.
Yeah, I mean, mine is not on the beach, mine is 2 blocks from the beach.
Exactly.
Can
Yeah.
I, can you see the water?
No, you can't see
I
water.
gotta see water.
Down on the tower.
But still.
We'll get you an aquarium.
You're closer to the beach than you are right now.
And that's your vision.
Very much close to the beach.
Often that's your vision. God bless you. Go down
Yes,
there and have it.
absolutely.
No,
But when you want to go down there on New Year's Eve, Eric's already got it, sorry.
That's fine.
I'll
I
take
don't have
it.
to be on New Year's. Yeah.
When your investors want to exit, are you refinancing or forced to sell because you have such a small
That's
percentage
the
in?
agreement.
No, because I have to control when it leaves. So that's part of
So you
it.
have a time frame of how long they have to.
I
be
have
in
an,
the
I
investment?
have, well, no, it sells when I say sell, let's be frank.
Right.
But there's an estimated time frame that we're gonna keep it, which is usually 4 to 7 years. Now, what we like to do is we like to refinance within 2 to 3 years to give the investors some of their money back. So you give them some of their money back and then they still own it. And then, so you're gonna have, you took some of the risk off the table by getting your money back, and now you still got the cash flow until we sell it. Yeah, but like, the reason why is like, if, you know, think about it like, you ever seen what is it, Big Short?
Yeah.
And the guy was like, sent the message to the investors like, we're not selling, right? Because if investors, if all of a sudden the market crashed down, everyone's like, we gotta sell now. It's like, wait a minute, you're gonna literally lose everything. So we're gonna hold it and ride this thing out until we get in a better position. That's why it's very important for me, for these investors, where really a lot of cash flow is involved in the total thing, because that way you got a nice cash flowing asset along the way. You're not losing the money, cash flow.
So when you engage an investor, you talk about the entry, what it takes, how much, and then also how long they have to keep it and what the exit strategy.
That's correct. It's all in, we have an investor presentation. We go through for like an hour and we answer pretty much, tell them the deal and how it is, and everybody, you know, everything you want to know about a deal. We have an investor presentation, and then we take questions after that. So you kind of get, we're able to cover everything usually within an hour.
Cool. So
Yeah.
so how do we contact you? How will they do something?
You can actually go to, yeah, well, is there a way to pull up another, yeah, so you, yeah, I can tell you, you want me to write it out. I'm just a poor writer, so I'm like, man, this is not gonna work.
You write better than I do by far.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, let's see the numbers. Yeah.
Starline, so like a star, STAR. So starlinecapitalpartners.com/join. That'll get you on the email list. Capital Partners. Yeah. /join. You go there, you'll get on the email list, and you'll hear all of the deals that I have to take them up.
So it's the same side of the 20, seems like everything like that.
This is Ryan.
Oh, yeah, you want to know my name?
Ryan Butler, who still runs a real estate business, right? And sold 179 million last year.
5, but yeah.
75, and so Ryan, your phone number is
720 530 4729.
And Ryan works in Maryland,
DC.
Virginia.
Yep. We got referrals up there in the DC metro area. We'd love to take care of them. And you can, if you're on like Instagram or anything like that, yeah, it's Ryan Butler Hoya. It's my personal, and then you can follow the company at Coalition Properties.
Ryan Butler.
HOYA.
On Instagram.
That's good. Change the M to a G.
G, yeah.
I'm just teasing.
Is it IG for real?
IG, yeah, that's what people say.
See how much I do.
I was gonna say, you were really close. You had like everything but that.
Are you a Georgetown Hoya?
I am Georgetown. Oh, yeah.
See, he said he went to a fancy school, full of debt.
Yeah. How's this, guys? Good for you guys?
Fabulous. spark.
And I got dark chocolates, Irish dark chocolates
And
for
think
everybody. If you
about
wanna grab
the
some on the way out.
Irish dark
Right.
chocolate.
You're wonderful.
Irish with a flair, not the.
You know what I found out this morning though? Because there are some Irish people on my call. They said St. Patrick's Day is a made up American holiday. Because in Ireland, they don't even know what that is.
No, England don't care about it. I don't know
Well,
why.
They drink it.
Dark chocolate? You said no to dark chocolate?
Jim's about to be the professional.
My doctor's cards. Oh.
They're mine.
Thank you. Only three.
Oh,
Good stuff.
What good stuff?
I know you paid him very well. So cool.
Don't take it, blame it on my head.
I'll bring it down.
Thanks for bringing.
There's another one tomorrow, right?
Hey, Ryan.
Nice to meet you, man.
Okay. I work for a small pharmaceutical area.
Oh, that's small, yeah.
That my wife was there. Her parents, I'm just telling her for my parents, my in-laws. So I get over. We go out probably twice a year. No question.
I'll try to pop in
Just know that you can.
The amount
And
of
then if you want to go downstairs.
segregation, just like the tax. Or when you actually give us.
Yes.